out of our sanctuary and follow the smell of coffee downstairs. Our mission is to build community, to search for meaning, to deepen our spirituality, and to make a better world. If you have questions about First Parish or Unitarian Universalism, you can visit the membership table as mentioned before, or say hello to Kate Holland, who is our Director of Lifespan Education, or Reverend Deborah can take your questions. A big thanks to all of our other service participants whose names are in the order of service. Please remember to silence your cell phones. And now join me in taking a moment to say hello to the folks in the pew with you and also to the folks at home online. I have two quick announcements. Next week is Flower Sunday. Please join us for a potluck picnic after the service. Please sign up to help with food. An e-blast will go out tomorrow with a link to the sign up. I think I've already seen one e-blast on that, and it will explain how to reach Lynn Lipcon, who is keeping track of folks. The second announcement is regarding the yard sale, which was yesterday. I wanted to note that I looked this up this morning. Our first rummage sale, which is the predecessor of the yard sale. I think of the yard sale as the junior cousin of the rummage sale. The first rummage sale was held in June of 1944, so this year was the 80th anniversary of this beloved tradition. Yeah. Well, thanks to all of you. I know that you're anxiously awaiting the amount raised. I would say that in the days of the rummage sale, which was vast, complex, a logistical achievement like, a military event, we would raise on the order, the team would raise on the order of the teens into the 20s, the last couple of years of the sale. The rummage sale got disrupted by the pandemic, so there was no sale of any form in 2020 and 2021. In 2022, we shifted to this very streamlined format for these last 3 years. So yesterday, we raised around $3,200 to $3,300. However, we have our big expenses are that tent out front, which costs $500, and the police detail, minimum 4 hours, is $390. So that trimmed our income to our net to around $2,200. So you may very well ask, why do we still do this? So I will hearken back to a meeting that Kathy Schmidt chaired when she was the lead of one of the big rummage sales. She started off the meeting by saying something like, while we think of this as a fundraiser for First Parish, there's an aspect of ministry involved. We are helping people. Someone just mentioned to me that someone got out of their car yesterday and that they're reasonably certain that person was living in her car. There are always people who come who I think are just really thrilled with the bargains they get and really need them. So there's a reuse, repurposing aspect rather. Also, Kathy talked about our place in the community. And I think, in these last few years, we've had a few nonprofits with us. And I'd like to think that doing what we do represents us well in the community. Last, and probably most important to many of us, is the building community internally aspect. I, for one, think that, just hanging out together, working together, I've gotten to know so many people that I would not have gotten to know as well had I not done the yard sale / rummage sale. Also, you find treasures like our Buddha, who made me laugh every time I saw him. He has a cell phone and a cup of coffee. I want to thank Kathy for reinstituting lunches. Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, we had lunches together, just so fun and just so delicious. So thank you to the folks who made us lunch. I want to thank my co-chairs, who we really are equal partners in leading this thing. Deb Stubuta here with her head down hiding. Suzanne Tiberi, Kathy Schmidt rejoined the team this year. Lynn and Ross Trimby did absolutely Herculean work in the sheds, in 4 sheds out there, organizing what was theoretically home goods but was a bit of everything. Also, there's so many people I'd like to name. John Thompson is always invaluable in antiques, as is Kathy Heckscher, but so many other people pitched in this week on antiques. Rita Anderson usually helps. She wasn't available. But also then Betsy Athan does books nearly single-handedly. I think, let's see, Jean Milburn doing native plants out front. Suzanne Taberi always leads jewelry, but with a lot of help from Jane Williamson and Jenny Silberman. But there's so many people who helped with setup, tear down, and donating items, which, without that, we would be lost. So last, there are leftovers in the sheds that are going to get packed up and taken to Savers. So we're going to unlock the sheds, 3 of the sheds, after the service. Have at it. Anything you take, we don't have to pack up. Thanks very much. And now, I'd like to welcome the Kenny Chapman family, who will light the chalice. Thank you for listening.
With open minds and loving hearts, we gather to search for meaning, to care for one another, and to work together for a better world.
A great way to start the morning. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I am Reverend Deborah Bennett. Sorry I didn't give you a chance to say good morning back. Good morning. Good morning. Nice to see all of you. We're pretty balanced. This is good because we got a little bit of section singing coming up, so this is good. There's so much to celebrate today. Congratulations on the yard sale, and Barb listed all these other people who I know contributed so much, but come on, Barb Hefner, thank you. Thank you for all that you do. in the yard sale and so many other ways. We also had a beautiful time. Thank you to all of those who joined us on Friday at First Parish in Framingham for our first and not last Tri-Congregation Juneteenth celebration. We had a wonderful dinner, a beautiful concert, and thanks to yours truly ordering way too much food, we were able to actually take that food to the local shelter and feed 14 families who were hugely grateful for it. So I think next year we'll just plan that in as part of what we do on that day, because it was a really humbling moment for me to walk in with this food and just see their gratitude and be like, okay, this is what it's about. So, and after all, everything happens for a reason, or does it? Well, that's the question we're going to be exploring later today. But right now, I do also want to celebrate the kickoff of Pride Month. June has been designated as a time to lift up and celebrate the LGBTQ plus community, although any month is a good time for glitter and rainbows. In honor of Pride Month, I'm going to begin with this prayer by Reverend Lori Walkie. She rates it as a prayer. It's a poem. Gracious God, is it the glitter? Some people think it's the glitter that makes the Pride Parade like heaven. Pearly gates and streets of gold. Surely heaven has as much glitter as Pride Parade. There's definitely enough glitter there to make a person believe that the Pride Parade is like heaven. Some people, of course, do not think the Pride Parade is like heaven. After all, who would let all these people in? Surely there's some kind of form to fill out. One must be given clearance or at least abide by a dress code. Speaking of, what is the dress code for heaven? What documentation is required? Of course, this is the strongest argument that the kingdom of heaven is like the Pride Parade. All are welcome. We don't get to decide who is in and who is out. Everybody's in. Everybody, at least from a universalist perspective, right? Or maybe it's that the kingdom of heaven is like the Pride Parade because it is a protest against bigotry, against hate, against fear, a protest against being someone you aren't, against the idea that only some of us are worthy, a protest against anything that does not lift up love. That's quite the parade, isn't it? The kingdom of heaven, that's quite the parable, isn't it? The kingdom of heaven is like the Pride Parade, where all are welcome and love wins. We'll know it by the glitter and the love. Thanks be to God. Amen. We can all say amen. Amen. And now we have the special opportunity, not one, not two, not three, but 4 members of the choir are coming forward to lead us in an opening hymn. Please rise and bow to your spirit and follow the direction of Charlie, whatever he says.
1003 in the teal hymnal. And it's not exactly a round, but there are 4 parts. So we're going to divide into our normal 4 sections. Then Polly's going to play the first line twice. And then we're all going to sing it down. We're going to all sing together. The first line twice, the second line twice, the third line twice, the fourth line twice. Then we go back and section 1 over by the windows over that side will sing by themselves the first line. And they will keep singing the first line. After we've gone through it twice, section 2 will join with the second line here. And then after they've done it twice, this group will come in with the third line. And then finally, the 4th group will come in with the 4th one, as cued by your leaders in front. And I hope this all goes well. Good luck. Polly, you want to start?
Good morning. I'm Kate Holland. I'm the Director of Lifespan Exploration here at First Parish. My pronouns are she, her. So I usually during this time tell you a story, but this morning you'll notice I've brought a bag. So what I need help from 6 people, and you would have to be able to hold something up and show everyone what it is, and read the description that's on the back. Do I have 6 people willing to do that? Come on, Cole. Come on, Eva. Anybody else? Come on. Oh, there you go. Come on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Anybody else? One more? Whoa, you okay? There we go. There we go. So there are some eclectic items in my bag, and I'm going to have each person pick one thing out. Want to pick a thing from the bag? Okay, what do you have? Hold it up and show everybody. Cornflakes. So read the description about the cornflakes that's on there.
Inventor, the Kellogg brothers, John and Will, what they were trying to make, a pot of boiled grain. How was it created? The brothers accidentally left the pot of boiled grain on the stove for several days. The mixture turned moldy, but the product was emerged that dry and thick. Through this experiment, they eliminated the mold part. They created cornflakes.
Awesome. Behind you. Okay, Eva, your turn. Okay, hold it up so everyone can see. Hold it up. What do you got? What do you got in your hand? What's in your hand? George. Tell what's there. What's in that bag?
Potato chips.
Yes, it is. You want to read?
Inventor. Gregor Crew. A chef at the Carey Moon Lake House in Saratoga Springs. What they were trying to make, a plate of fried potatoes. How it was created. One night, a customer sent back his plant of potatoes. Many times he kept asking for them to be more fried and thinner. Croom lost his temper. Sliced that potato instantly, then and fried them until they were hard as rock. To the chef's surprise, the customer loved them and wanted more.
Okay, hold it up. What do you got?
Slinky. Inventor, James Wright, an engineer at General Electric. What he was trying to make during World War II, the United States government needed lumber, airplane tires, boots for soldiers.
I did the wrong one. Sorry, technical difficulty. I mixed up my labels. So it's still a slinky, but this is what it.
Inventor, Richard Jones, a navigator engineer, what he was trying to make a better design to monitor power on naval ships. How it was created. Jones was working with tension springs when one of them fell to the ground. The spring kept bouncing from place to place. After it hit the ground, and the Slinky was born.
What you got?
Silly putty.
Okay, read that.
Inventor, James Wright, an engineer at General Electric. What he was trying to make. During World War II, the United States government needed rubber airplane tires, boots for soldiers, etc. Wright was trying to make a rubber substitute out of silicone since it was a widely available material. How it was created. During a test on silicone oil, Wright added boric acid to the substance. Put the sound with it, it's right in my vision. Thank you. The result was a gooey mess that bounced. Although no one could find any real use for it, it became a fun toy.
Okay, great. Okay, do you know what you have?
Sticky notes. Inventor Spencer Silver, a researcher in 3M Laboratories. He was trying to make a strong adhesive. How it was created. While working away, Silver created an adhesive that was actually weaker than what already existed. It stuck to objects but could easily be pulled off without leaving a mark. Years later, a colleague spread the substance on little pieces of paper to mark his place in his choir hymn book, and the idea was born.
Last one, Lori. Crispy cookies. They look like chocolate chip. Inventor Ruth Wakefield, owner of the Toll House Inn. What she was trying to make, regular chocolate cookies. How it was created. While mixing a batch of cookies, Wakefield discovered she was out of baker's chocolate. As a substitute, she broke sweetened chocolate into small pieces and added them to the cookie dough. She expected the chocolate to melt, making chocolate cookies, but the little bits stuck. Okay, hand for all of my helpers. Thank you guys. Please sit down. So after this, does anyone have any idea what all of those things have in common? Making mistakes. They were making mistakes, so they weren't what they were supposed to be. And so I like the fact that these little moments of someone making a mistake, that little moment of chance, that they took it and they turned it into things that were amazing. Did you know penicillin was also something that was made by mistake, as was a pacemaker. So it's not just food and toys. So it's just amazing. And that chance in life of what do we do with those little chances? You know, do we hold that failure and stop? Or do we think of something creative that comes from that failure? So I think that talking about chance this morning is a lovely thing to think about. So I'm going to invite my friends that are going down to our Seek program to come on down. Oh, and you guys have to sing us out.
Was fun. So on today, June 2nd, and next week, June 9th, we're going to share our plate as we close our congregational year. The plate is going to go to Melanine Mass Moms. It's a network of moms of color in Massachusetts who work to bridge the gap between community resources and health disparities for mothers of color as they navigate all stages of motherhood. They provide mental health resources, postpartum support, and avenues for advocacy aimed to increase access to community-wide resources. And we also collect it for them at our gathering on Friday. I know the whatever you provide is going to be greatly appreciated. You may place an offering in the basket or visit our website. The link is on those little orange cards in your pews, or contribute to them directly and keep them in your hearts and minds. The offering will now be given and gratefully received. Thank you. Now's the time in our service where we get to take some moments to just center ourselves. Before you close your eyes, if you like closing your eyes for these kind of things, I'm going to invite you to just look to your right and look to your left and look at the people around you, look up in the choir loft. This particular group of people in this room may never come together in this exact way again. And whether that was by chance or fate, I think it's worth just noting and taking an appreciation for what this moment is, unique from every other. So with that, I invite you to close your eyes if you like to close your eyes, or just have really soft eyes as you take a few moments. In our meditation today, I'll just invite you to consider yourself in this place at this time. Let's take a few breaths together first. Allowing yourself to breathe in and breathe out fully. Drawing your attention inward to your own breath, your own individual body. And for a moment, let your focus be on where you are in this moment. So you are in a breath, in a body. You are in this particular room. First, Just become aware of the seat you're in, even with your eyes closed. Just get a sense of where you sit. Perhaps there's a cushion underneath you. Maybe your feet are touching the ground. Maybe you're leaning back enough to feel the back of the pew behind you or your chair behind you. See if you can locate yourself right where you are. And without disturbing that sense of place and time, also allow your mind to just acknowledge all that it took to get you to this exact place at this exact time. The decisions in your very specific day today that caused you to come here. And perhaps the decision weeks ago, months ago, or years or even decades ago to walk through the doors of First Parish, whether by chance, by choice, or some act of fate. Somehow you brought yourself into this space. And somehow you have arrived here on this day beside others who also, by chance, by choice, or through some act of fate, also arrived here today. And though we may not ever know whether chance or choice or fate was the predominant force that brought us here, let's take the next minute and just sit in the wonder of it all. Of all the places on the planet you could be, here is where you are. And if it feels appropriate to you as you sit, allow a sense of trust to come into your heart, a sense that whatever brought you here, being wherever you are now and in any given moment, that you can trust what brought you here. You can trust what keeps you here. You can trust both the chance and the choices and the destiny that is your life. So let's take 2 more nice deep breaths together. Take a breath in and exhale. And take another nice deep breath in. And on the next exhale, I'll invite you to open your eyes. And Julia will come forward and we'll share in our joys and sorrows together.
Good morning. I'm Julia Kenny. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm a lay minister of this congregation. This is a time in our service we set aside to acknowledge the joys and sorrows that we all hold. In both our sharing and in our witness, we affirm our covenant to care for one another. We begin by lighting a special vigil candle in recognition of the pain and suffering being experienced around the world due to ongoing war and violence. May this small act help to unite us. Is everyone okay? We're all good. Okay, all good. Help to unite us in our prayer for the end to all suffering. If you have a personal joy or sorrow you'd like to share, please feel free to come forward now or raise your hand and I'll bring spoken. May we hold in our hearts those who have spoken, those they have named, and those we hold in silence. May it be so.
Not sure how I'm supposed to top that, but all right. All right, here we go. You ready? I have a coin. One side is heads, the other side is tails. Barb, would you confirm that for our audience, please? Heads, tails. Okay. Also, the little container of quarters left over from the yard sale is 25 cents short. Okay. But I'll put it back. All right, I'm going to flip this, and who wants heads? Raise your hand. Heads? Heads. Okay, remember what you picked, and then everybody else tails? Okay, great. Okay, so if you win, you get to go to coffee hour. If you don't, you need to stay and pick up the whole, make sure all the pews are nicely organized and all the things, okay? All right, here we go. Oops, yeah, I don't know my take that, that's not working. All right, here we go. Whew. Everybody sweating? All right. You know what? Before I announce your fate, I'm just going to sit this here. I'm not even going to look at it. Okay. Before I announce your fate, let me just, let's just consider for a moment this idea of chance or fate, free will, and the sheer luck of the draw. Because your fate is in my hands right now. Or maybe just luck. Thanks to the free will of Chauncey Wilson, who could not be here today, but I think he's watching. Hi, Chauncey. So thanks to the free will of Chauncey Wilson and the chance that no one else outbid him for this auction item, and perhaps because of a little bit of fate, today we are going to dive into this age-old question that has perplexed humanity for centuries. Is it chance or is it fate? Just by a show of hands, where are my chance people? Chance? Okay, fate? How about will? Ah, yes, see? I know you. So most of us have had one of those stories in our lives about how we were heading in one direction and then some chance encounter or the hand of fate took over and turned us in another direction. Well, one of those moments for me was facilitated by a coin toss. You see, after visiting the Kripalu Yoga Ashram for a weekend of yoga back in 1988, I discovered that they offered this 3-month program for those possibly interested in moving in full-time. So I was intrigued and was thinking about applying. But at the time, I was 22 years old and busy running a small 16-seat organic cafe that I had started about a year earlier. And I loved my work, and I was exploring expanding the cafe and had visions of becoming this, grand business person someday. But at the same time, I was also really pulled to this idea of letting all of that go, letting all of the worldly life go, and living in a spiritual community. And I just couldn't decide which I wanted to do more. So after weeks of pondering and making pro-con lists, I finally said, enough is enough. I'm just going to flip a coin. Heads I go, tails I stay. So I got out, this is a true story. So I got out the coin and I flipped it. And it came up heads. Uh-oh, I thought. I don't know that I really want to go. I better make it 2 out of 3, just to make sure. So I flipped the coin again, and it was heads again. 3 out of 5. That's more fair. So I flipped it again, heads again. And then I just kept flipping the coin, heads and heads and heads and heads. 7 flips, 7 heads. Must be fate, I figured. So I packed up my life, left Reading, Pennsylvania, and headed for the Berkshires. And as they say, the rest is history. By the flip of a coin, my life was set on a completely different path than the one I was planning. Now, one could argue that it was by chance that I packed up my life and headed off to an ashram. Had the coin flipped 7 tails in a row, I would have stayed. Others may, however, say it was my destiny, that I was always meant to go, regardless of the results of the coin flip, and in one way or another, I was going to be there, guided there by some unseen force. Call it God or the universe or my higher self or a guardian angel. And yet still others may argue that it was just a free will choice that I made with no chance and no destiny involved at all. My mind just needed an excuse to justify the choice I was making. And the coin toss and talk of the hands of fate were simply my mind making things up so I would feel better. But here's where it gets interesting. Because I know some of you may have a clear conviction about one cause over the other, I'm going to guess for a lot of us we have dueling inclinations. On one hand, we like to feel that we have agency and that our free will guides our lives, and that's what makes things matter. We like to think that within the bounds of our circumstances, we possess the ability to make choices that shape our destinies. The power of free will lies in our capacity for self-determination, our ability to reflect on our values, consider our options, and choose the actions that align with our beliefs and aspirations. We like that, right? We're you-yous, we like that stuff. On the other hand, it sure looks like chance has a lot to do with who we are, who we meet, what opportunities come our way. From the moment we are born into a particular family, in a specific time and place, our lives are shaped by countless factors that seem beyond our control. Our genes, our upbringing, our socioeconomic status, and the broader social and historical context into which we are born all play a role in shaping who we are and, in fact, which choices we have that are available to us to even make. On the other hand, in a world where there are three hands, don't you just have a sense that our lives are more than simply a combination of chance and choice? Yeah? Was it really by chance and your own choice that resulted in you meeting that particular person at exactly the moment when you did? You know that particular person I'm thinking of. That person with whom you felt a very particular and special connection that impacted the course of your life, either personally or professionally. Could that really have been just chance? Of course, the debate between chance and destiny, fate and free will has been a subject of philosophical and religious contemplation for millennia. In ancient Greece mythology, the answer was Moirae, also known as the Fates. They were three sisters who personified destiny and presided over human life. Their role was to ensure that every being, mortal and divine, lived out their destiny as it was assigned to them by the laws of the universe. There were three of them. There was the spinner, the one who spun out one's life like a thread. The allotter, who measured the thread of a person's life. And the inevitable, or what was called the inflexible one, who cut the thread of fate and chose how each person would die. She would be the good one to befriend. But the Greeks also believed that humans had the ability to make choices that could influence their fate, even though ultimately the outcome of their lives was predetermined by the gods. So a little bit of both there. And that's not too dissimilar to many of our contemporary religions as well. For many Christians, it's believed that God has sovereignty over all creation and that his will extends to every detail of human life. Many believe that God has a plan for each person's life, and that while humans have free will, a good Christian will be guided by God's will, by God's plan. Christians also believe in the concept of divine grace, which is God's unmerited favor that can help them live out God's will when they go astray. Of course, poor God is often subjected to what seems like unmerited praise as it relates to his free will. After the 1906 San Francisco earthquake, there were many who were trying to ascribe the destruction as an act of God's will, a sort of punishment for the poor morality of the day. That happens a lot, doesn't it? Yet in this case, someone pointed out that though God had actually destroyed all of his San Francisco churches in that particular earthquake, he had left Hot Ling's saloon standing. Now, maybe God just forgot about that one, or maybe he was thirsty after all the hard work of destruction that day. We will never know. Of course, confirmation bias is real, right? We make up all kinds of reasons why something happens and ignore any contradictory information about why something happened or didn't happen. Now, Judaism offers its adherents a balance between free will and destiny. According to the Talmud, God opens 3 books of destiny on Rosh Hashanah. If one's deeds are good, he writes your name into the book of life, and you get to live another year. If one's deeds are wicked, he writes your names in the book of death. And if one's deeds fall somewhere in between, they are written in a 3rd book. God then suspends judgments on those names, giving them 10 days to change their hearts and their lives to get back into the book of life. But then on Yom Kippur, fates are sealed for that year. I personally think it is very nice of God to have a last call on getting it right before the bar closes at night. Many Hindus hold slightly different beliefs about destiny and God's role. A common belief for Hindus has to do with karma. Karma is the universal Hindu law of cause and effects, which holds a person responsible for his or her actions and the effects of them. Now, there's 3 kinds of karma. There's the kind of karma that is performed in the current lifetime. The actions performed in the current lifetime produce results in subsequent lifetimes. So you may not see the results of your actions in this lifetime. Then there's the kind of karma that has effects right now. This is more like instant karma. Actions have immediate or very recent effects that start to manifest in the current lifetime. And then there's something called Sachita karma, and this is an accumulation of all the past karmas and all the results that occur in a future lifetime. And these can take lifetimes to unravel because you've accumulated so much bad karma that it takes a very long time to unravel that. Many Hindus believe that nothing in this world happens accidentally or coincidentally. There is a reason behind everything, though it may not be clear at the time. One's destiny is, in essence, constantly being created by one's actions, past and present. Right? So right action is said to be those actions or choices performed in alignment with one's dharma or one's duty, which one is born into. Hindus' ideas are an interesting combination, I think, of free will and destiny with very little room for chance, because everything has a cause and effect, and a cause and effect. So there are many more ideas out there, but there's one more that I wanted to highlight today. It's a theory which may or may not actually have anything to do with chance, and one which I actually know basically nothing about, but I love this concept. It's the concept of string theory. Now, who's my physicist? Do I have a physicist? You can talk to me later. Okay, later, you can, fact check me here. But according to what I read, string theory is the idea in theoretical physics that reality is made up of infinitesimal vibrating strings, smaller than atoms, electrons, or quarks. According to this theory, as the strings vibrate, twist, and fold, they produce effects in many tiny dimensions that humans interpret as everything from particle physics to large-scale phenomena like gravity. String theory has been held up as a possible theory of everything. I'm sure I'm simplifying this complex idea and do not think that there's actually been experiments to date that have actually proven string theory. But I like the idea that the fundamental nature of reality is vibrational, and that vibration impacts vibration in a sort of Indra's web. Now, interestingly, as I think happens sometimes with scientific theories, they sometimes mirror these ancient ideas. And this one really mirrors the ancient idea of Indra's web. It's a metaphor that was found 3,000 years ago, first in the Vedic scriptures, and Buddhists and Hindus use it. It describes the world as a web, with each knot or crossing point representing a pearl or a jewel. The net is said to be vast and infinite, stretching out in all directions from Indra's palace in heaven into infinity. The jewels on each of these crossing points are said to be infinite in number, and each one reflects the light of the others. So if you can imagine like a web with a jewel at each crossing point with many facets on that jewel, there'd be reflection, right? So this is how everything in the universe is affected by anything else. One jewel on the web is never independent of the other jewels. Chance and choice cannot exist, according to this theory, outside of the web either. They cannot stand as independent from each other. So basically, a chance thing can't really be a chance thing, because that would say that it's an independent thing, unrelated to other things. But in Indra's web, they would say that all of your choices, all of the experiences of chance occur under the influence of all other choices and other events that cannot independently arise. So while you can say something happened by chance, it really was just the result of multiple effects of multiple things. And I like that because that kind of fits my own sense and my own sensibilities of nothing stands independently. There's no such thing as a choice that just magically rises up and isn't connected to anything else. That doesn't mean that we don't have conscious control over everything, that we do have conscious control that comes into everything, into our experience. There was a book that Chauncey invited me to read called Fluke by Brian Clough. It's about the idea of chance and choice. He suggests that some choices are contingent while others are what he calls convergent. The difference being that sometimes our choices have little impact into the grand scheme of things. Like, let's say whether I had coffee or tea this morning probably is not going to change anybody's life in Thailand. It's a convergent choice. Yes, it's a choice I made, but it had little ripple effect, if you will, in the grand scheme of vibrations across Indra's web, across this vast network of strings that connect us. On the other hand, Clough says there's contingent choices, and then they are the ones that really matter, that do result in a very clear chance consequences to others. So Klaus in his book recounts the story of the atomic bomb to talk about this that was dropped in Nagasaki. So you may or may not know, but the original target on August 9th, 1945 was Kokura, Japan, was a whole nother city. However, there were heavy clouds that day that covered the airspace over that city, and so the decision was made to divert to Nagasaki. When the plane arrived there, clouds had been covering there too, but had moved just enough so that they were able to see the target and drop the bomb. The bomb exploded 1,650 feet above the city, almost 2 miles from its intended target, and created a blast radius of 1 mile. The explosion affected an area of about 43 square miles, killing between 40 and 75,000 people and nearly obliterating the city. So the choice to drop the bomb, combined with the chance of where and when cloud coverage was that day, created an event that created chance of devastating consequences for many, while at the same time, it created a miracle of chance for the good fortune of those in the other city. Mathematical probability can tell us the likelihood that one person was in Nagasaki that day instead of Kokura, but in the end, we are left with the real-world consequences of the collision of choice and chance for people that day. So here is why I think that we need to hold this whole conversation about chance and choice and destiny with a lot of humility. Because do we really know which had more sway that day, right? Can we say it was just by chance? Was it destiny? Or was it just the hand of choice that created the devastation? In the end, how we explain that which happens in our lives or that which doesn't happen in our lives depends on how we choose to see the world. As we navigate the complexities of life, it is perhaps less about finding definitive answers and more about embracing the tension and the ambiguity inherent in these profound questions of chance and choice and destiny. Unitarian Universalism doesn't tell you what to conclude about these things, but it does invite you to explore the experience and the power of your own agency right alongside the humble exploration of the force and power of which is beyond that, by whatever name you choose to call it. So whether we believe in chance or destiny or fate or divine intervention, the true measure of our lives may not be found in the grand tapestry of events beyond our control, but in the choices we make each and every day, the moments we choose to seize, the paths we choose to forge, and those that we leave behind. Believing that a divine creator is at the core of life's events might actually help you to be more at ease and more trusting in your connection to something larger than yourself. It may help you feel a sense that good things are coming even in the face of hardship. However, feeling that happenings as a result of chaos bumping into chaos and chance bumping into chance, our job is to seize the day and make the best out of what comes our way to provide us with a sense of agency, and also to allow us to surrender to those things that are bigger and out of our control. Like most things in life, to me, the truth seems to be somewhere in the middle. Unlike the straight and clear lines of a well-planned out urban streetscape, I think of our lives more like the seemingly random but somehow perfectly fitting together images of one of those masterful collages. You know, those ones where close up it just looks like a bunch of chaos thrown together, a bunch of color, a bunch of pictures, but that when you stand back, you see this whole other image that starts to emerge. The artist actually had planned something very beautiful. It just started looking like chaos. And I choose to live my life and trust my life that I'm one of those beautiful collages. Whether I can see the whole picture or not, whether it looks like chaos and chance or not, with just a bunch of blobs of color on a canvas, I trust that there's a beautiful picture emerging, whether I personally can identify it or not in any moment. And I actually hope you feel that same way about your life, that it is a beautiful collage, perhaps of chance, perhaps of destiny, perhaps of luck, but that nonetheless, it is a beautiful piece of artwork. So, my friends, it is time. It's time to see who gets to go to coffee hour. So underneath here, I have it. I didn't touch it. It's the same as it was when I flipped it. So that flip is going to be the determining, oh no. I am so sorry. It's going to have to leave it up to you to determine your own fate today. But let's sing. We're going to sing hymn 311, Let It Be a Dance. Please rise and body your spirit. So just to prove, I'm good here? Just to prove how connected we all are and how nothing is by chance, that one thing creates the next thing creates the next thing, our closing words today are by Al, also known as AI. This is what she, he, they said. In the grand scheme of life's endless twists, do we dance to fate's tune or chance's list? Is it destiny's hand that shapes our fate, or random luck that decides our state? Some say it's written in the stars above, while others believe in the power of love. Perhaps it's a mix of both that play, guiding us along life's mysterious way. So let us embrace the unknown ahead with open hearts and minds instead. For whether by fate or chance we're led, our journey's path is ours to tread. Okay, that was good, right? All right. Go now in peace and take peace wherever you go.